What up?
What up?
You know it's
What
Friday
up?
night, right? Anytime
Sir.
Friday coming around, we doing our thing. So since that's happening, it's your boy, Cool McCain. And I'm here always with my boy.
Y'all know who it is. It's Steven Box.
And you know what we doing? We about to get you some interactive sports talk. So all you gotta do, sit back, relax, get your fingers ready, stretch them out. So you'll be ready to type on that keypad for us as we dig into this. But before that happens, we just need a quick reminder. You new to the scene, maybe you hadn't been here in a while, or maybe you just forgot who we are.
Y'all must
Time to
forgot.
remind you. All right, so Steve, man, we got several things I say like that to get into for the evening. So let's get this thing cracking, man.
Do it, man. Let's go.
So what we gonna start here at that Thursday night game. So I don't know if you saw the game or not. Everybody watching, anybody see the replay? But that's definitely what I call a massacre. Right? We got a team that's unwinned. I like to call them teams that have one game, right? Going up against a team that's supposed to be one of the up and coming teams in the NFL, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the Commanders, not there yet, but pretty good team. And from the jump, from minute one of this game, the Bears were their daddy. I'm gonna put it like that. I'm not even gonna pull punches. I'm not even gonna play no games. The Bears came out 7-0 just like that, and they kept pounding on them the whole game. So rather than take the time to break down the whole game, because we already done that, we already seen that, everybody know what happened. Just a few quick thoughts. So for me, I'm gonna say it like this: if you're going out to play a game, you got to show up to play. I feel like the Commanders forgot that there was a game on Thursday. Maybe they thought it was Wednesday. Maybe they thought it was Friday, but they definitely didn't think it was Thursday night for at least the first half. And then you start to see them slowly like try to get back into it, but you dig yourself too big of a hole. It's hard to get out of it. I think the Bears almost won last week. Same thing that happened to the Commanders, but the difference was the Bears came out fired up. Justin Fields came out ready to play. Hey, I've been one of the people saying, hey, DJ Moore ain't shown nothing since he's been there. But DJ Moore told me and everybody else to shut up. And he went out and snapped last night. Right? He did. Hey, if I'm gonna sit there and talk about you like, hey, you ain't been doing nothing, this dude ain't really showed me nothing. Then when you show me something, I got to give you the props too. You can't show me more than DJ Moore showed me last night. DJ Moore snapped. Okay. DJ Moore snapped. He said, piss on the Commanders, everything Commanders related, and everything in the city of Maryland, Landover, where they play it, and all the surrounding areas. So
it was all the surrounding area, the whole DVA,
all the surrounding areas, the whole area, everybody, Baltimore, y'all too, everybody. he went in. So I love to see it, and I love that Justin Fields had a good game, and I've been critical of Justin Fields as well.
Mm-hmm.
But when you play well, the other people look well. So, hey, Justin Fields did his thing as well on the ground. Khalil Herbert got hurt. He was on his way to a good game. He already had 76 yards in the first half before he got hurt on one of the bad things that Justin Fields did. And I'll swing over to you after this. Justin Fields is running. He's got a lane, but he decides to stop and throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage to Herbert. But when he does, the way he throws it, he has to kind of bend backwards, and his ankle gets caught up under him and twisted. And it cost him the rest of the game. He tried to come back in, but it was just in too much pain. Yep. And the ironic part of it is, and I had this as in the injuries, but I'll go ahead and talk about it now. All their running backs that were active were hurt last night. They had to use their fullback as a running back the second half because all their running backs were hurt. Every active running back was hurt. Crazy.
Which honestly just makes the whole thing more embarrassing for the Commanders.
It definitely does. It definitely does. Any thoughts that you have on the game and how it played out?
So there's a couple things here, right? Not necessarily on the game itself, but I think just kind of some storylines around the game. Number one, we always talk about the impact of Thursday night games. And, obviously most of these teams played on Sunday, but The Commanders played in a division game against the Eagles, always a very physical matchup between those two teams. So you have to kind of wonder how much impact did the physicality of playing on Sunday in that kind of a matchup have on the outcome of this game. And I'm not saying that to take away from the Bears, right? Because the Bears came out and they did what they needed to do, regardless of what shape the Commanders found themselves in, right? Because we've seen teams come out and not do what they need to do. Looking at you, New York Giants. Because the 49ers came off of a division game against the Rams, and the Giants didn't show up and do what they need to do. So it's not a guarantee, right? So you have to get a Bears credit for showing up and doing what they were supposed to do. But the other thing that's interesting to me, and I'm not hearing anybody out there talk about this right now, is the Bears a couple weeks ago. There was all the stuff about, they're getting people in the locker room making remarks. Justin Fields, made his little comments, all this other stuff. And everyone was like, oh, it's a dumpster fire. Everything's falling apart. Sometimes what you need is them come to Jesus moments. You need them to clear the air and get everybody on the same page. And the last 2 weeks have shown me that maybe, just maybe, all that drama got the Bears on the same page.
Anything is possible. Something definitely happened, because I'll tell you what, the Commanders will tell you, the boys came to play.
Mm-hmm.
And they really could have won Sunday too, but sometimes it just ain't quite there for you yet. So, Two other quick things. First question, where do the Commanders go from here? Second question, can the Bears use this to turn around their season? So I'll start with you first.
Yeah.
I'm
going to say that, honestly, man, for the Commanders, nothing really changes, in all honesty, right? Yes, you had a bad loss, but now you're going to get 10 days off before your next game. I don't think they're going into a bye next week. I'm assuming they have a game next week. So you have 10 days off, and you get a chance to rest up, try to figure out like what went wrong, how do we make some corrections to it, and you move on with your season, right? It's you forget about it. It's next game up, because that's kind of what you have to do in the NFL. So I don't think that anything really changes with them. At this point, it's too early in the season for them to hit the panic button. They're only 2-3. It's not like they're out of anything yet. So I think you just kind of move on and get ready for the next game. For the Bears, this absolutely is a momentum builder. It has to be. You have to take the momentum from this win and carry it forward, and you have to find a way to start stacking W's, right? Last week, you had the win. You had that game, and you allowed Denver to come back and take that game away from you. This week, you went out there, and look, I'm going to point this out. You went out there in the first half, you outscored them 10-0. Okay. Second quarter, you outscored them 17-3. Right. So now you go into halftime, you're at 27-3. What do? You allow the Commanders to come out and outscore you 11-0 in the third quarter. Now, based on what we saw last week, you would expect that they're just going to collapse and let the Commanders continue to play well into the fourth quarter. But they actually outscored the Commanders in the fourth quarter. They actually finished the game. So for me, those are things that I'm looking at on the Bears coaching staff, and I feel real good about going forward with this football team.
Definitely. So to answer the questions myself real quick. So for the Commanders, I think you hit it on the head. And also you've got Eric Bieniemy, who's going to make the adjustments. You saw a good game from the offensive side of the ball for the most part.
Yeah.
The defense really just kind of unraveled. You know what I'm saying? They were just allowing big play after big play, run after run. Fields was doing his thing as well. So it was just a defensive crash, right? Sometimes you have those games where the defense just doesn't show up for you. And if you can't match points with the other team, it's hard to win. And they weren't quite able to match points in that first half. They got behind. So I think the Commanders will be okay. This may be a come to Jesus moment for the Commanders, right? After that loss, it might be a come to Jesus moment for them. And then can the Bears use this to turn their season around? For me, of course they can. You build upon positive things that happen in your season, right? Like you said, it's a great point that you brought up. They had a chance to really kind of air things out. Maybe they get in the room together and they really start working to say, hey, all right, Justin, what is it that you want to do as the offensive coordinator, as the head coach? What does Justin want to do? What can we do to put Justin in the best position to be the best quarterback he could be? You do that, you see these kind of performances from him. You ask him to do things that may not be the best things that he does right now at this point in his career. You're going to see what we saw earlier in the season. You're going to see a team that hadn't won a game in like 10 straight regular season games or more. That's what you get. But when you turn that around and you say, let me take my offense, take the quarterback that I have, and mold him into a guy that can be successful in the offense I want to run, this is what you see. So kudos to them for kind of getting that together and moving that in the right direction.
Yeah.
So, of course, we had a couple.
I was going to say, I'll just point out real quick. I was just looking, the Giants' next 6 games, or the Commanders' next 6 games, excuse me. Giants, Eagles, Patriots, Seahawks, Giants again. So the Eagles and the Seahawks, obviously, those are games that you expect they might lose. The 2 games against the Giants, they could win those. And the Patriots really haven't looked that good yet either. So, the next 6 games, they've got a chance to really win some football games and actually have a winning record, or at least get that to 500.
Yeah. Yeah, if they win 4 out of those 6, I think they'll be doing real well. And if they win more than that, even better. Yeah. I really think that this game they had this past week against the Eagles, that was their game to win. And they weren't quite able to do it. But, hey, they put up a heck of a fight.
So you're not mad about the outcome, I'm sure.
That. Not mad at all, man. Not mad at all. All right, so had a couple of trades. We'll talk about the most impactful first. Randy Gregory was traded to the 49ers, right?
Yeah.
So as a Niners fan, I'm going to let you do this one. I'm going to zip it. Impact of the move on your organization, and does you feel this solidifies you as the best team in the NFC?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, let's first, just for anybody who maybe hasn't seen it, we'll kind of detail out the trade here. The 49ers gave up a 6th-round pick in exchange for Randy Gregory in a 7th. So pretty simple, straightforward trade. I think it's a huge deal because Denver's actually paying almost all of his contract this season. The 49ers are only going to be on the hook for $840,000. He has no guarantee money on the contract after this year. So this is literally basically a 1-year rental for a pick swap, which is tremendous value for what they got. What this does is it gives you a guy who's shown that he can consistently create pressure off of the edge. Now, they've been getting some decent pressure out of Clem Farrell and Drake Jackson this year, but obviously not quite as much as they want. And Randy Gregory's gotten a better pressure rate than either one of those guys on less snaps. So he's obviously a guy you're not going to come in and ask to play 3 downs. He's going to come in. He's going to probably be a 3rd down guy, especially the first couple of weeks as he's learned the system. It's going to be like 3rd and long, obvious pass situations. You're bringing him in to do that. But what this is going to do is make it that much more difficult to double team any of those other guys, right? Because right now, Nick Bosa is getting double teamed more than anybody else in the league. And it's very difficult to continue to double team Nick Bosa when you have Hargraves, when you have RSA, and now you put a guy like Gregory on the other side of that line. Because if you leave any of those guys in single coverage, you're leaving yourself to potentially get beat, and it's going to cause problems for your quarterback. So I think it's a huge move. In terms of, does this make the 49ers the best team? You and I had a conversation off air earlier. I'm going to repeat exactly what I said in our conversation. We played Dallas this week. We played Philly a little later in the season. Until we beat those 2 teams, we can't claim being best in the NFC.
Fair enough. I'll just simply say, brought to you by a 49ers fan for the 49ers. And we're going to go on to the second one. Nowhere near the same impact, but worth talking about because it could be a good reclamation place for him. So Chase Claypool was traded to the Dolphins.
Yeah.
So for this, my question is simply, is this his last chance to be an NFL wide receiver? And what does he bring to the team? And how do you think he'll be used?
I don't know if it's going to be his last chance, but I think it is his last chance to go somewhere and have a significant role. And, even when I say significant role, even that's a little bit questionable because this is a team that already has a lot of talent on it. He's obviously going to be at best the third receiver, maybe even the fourth receiver there. They got a couple running backs that they also like to get involved in the passing game. So he's going to be a guy who's not necessarily going to get a lot of touches. It's going to be a matter of what can you do with the touches you do get. Because here's the reality. They have a lot of weapons out there in Miami, and you have an opportunity to go there and be a guy who's going to get covered by somebody else's third or fourth best corner. And so you're going to have opportunities to get open and be able to play, and no one's going to ever come and double team you. You don't have to worry about that. No one's going to come and put their best corner on you because that would be stupid with the other talent is on that team. So does he have opportunities to go into this offense and produce? Yes. Is he going to go put up Pro Bowl numbers? Hell's to the no.
So I'll say, I think it's his last chance to be an NFL wide receiver, right? I think at this point, if he can't get it done here, then spring league football might be the place for you, pimping, like for real. I think this is a great situation, though. You got two speedsters on the outside of you. I'm assuming that he'll be the third, like you said, or the fourth receiver. He brings to me size. He brings to me somebody that should be able to high point the ball and be more of a physical target for Tua Tagovailoa that the other guys are not. He's the guy when you're first, second, third down, you're needing like 3 or 4 yards for the play. This is the guy you're going to go to most of the time. You're down in the red zone. You need a guy to go up and get a high throw, high point something. This is the guy you're gonna get the ball to. I think this is the role that he functioned great in his rookie year as well. When you had two other guys and you were that like big slot guy or that third guy that most people were putting linebackers, safeties, and different things on. Once he got outside and started to be one of the top two and started having, starting corners covering him, we saw that he wasn't who we thought he was. So I think going back to this, him being third or fourth in the pecking order here is a great situation. And that's why I feel like if he can't complete this, this might be the last chance, because if you can't function and be a guy that helps the team when you got Waddle on one side and Cheetah on one side, I mean, I don't see anybody else saying, I want you on my team, even a practice squad. They could do better. But I think he'll be fine here. But I'm just curious to get your opinion. And then, of course, anybody watching, what you guys think about this as well, because it was an interesting little sneaky move that I think filled some holes for the Dolphins. Some things they needed somebody for, this filled the holes for them.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, we're going to talk about some NFL injuries. There's a lot of injuries, but just a couple of, bullet point things to discuss, right? So Matthew Judon and Christian Gonzalez are both on IR. Judon, for the most part, I believe his season's over. Gonzalez, he's going to be out for extended period of time. His season may be over. Do you think that obviously that's going to hurt the Patriots because their defense could really use those two guys, and they're not looking that good anyway.
I mean, it's a tremendous blow right there, especially Judon. I think Gonzalez is a big hit for them too, but especially Judon, because you can take lesser quality corners and make them look better with a great pass rush. But you have to have really great corners to help a pass rush get home, right? So to me, the fact that you're now missing a top guy at both positions really hurts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is a team that was really hoping that Bill Belichick and his defensive genius would carry them. And now you've lost two big pieces on that defense. So to me, this is a team that is in a lot of trouble. And I think people have started to come around to the idea that the aura of Bill Belichick has worn off.
I'm not upset with that statement. I'm not upset with that statement at all. I'll even go further. You can't cheat anymore. You're not good when you can't cheat. Anybody else gonna say it? I'll say it. Cheater.
You can't cheat.
Can't cheat. You stay. That's what it is. And so David Bakhtiari, big piece of the line for the Packers. He's out. We talked about the Bears running back room. Just a couple of other people that just a quick return on, and then we'll talk about a couple of the other things.
One other thing real quick though, I do just want to point. I don't know if you saw this or not, but the one thing I will say that could help out a little bit here, even with losing Gonzalez, is they did actually acquire J.C. Jackson from the Chargers, and yes, he didn't play great with the Chargers, so it will be interesting to see can they get more out of him. So,
just want to throw that out. They did do that.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, David Bakhtiari is out. The Bears running back room, we talked about that a few minutes ago. They were all pretty much hurt by the end of that game. Nakobe Dean is scheduled to return for the Philadelphia Eagles next week. He's been out since week 1. Big piece of why a lot of people's opinion they've looked as bad as they have in the middle of that big soft donut's been there. And then in negative news for the Philadelphia Eagles, it looks as if Cooper Kupp is going to be playing Sunday. So if that happens, that kind of is going to accentuate what we're just talking about, that big donut. But hey, it's good for Cooper Kupp to get back on the field, and then we get a chance to see what him and Nakua could do together. That could be a monstrous 1-2 punch, because Kupp did play in the slot for the most part when he was there, but Nakua's doing so well in the slot. You could throw Kupp on the outside and kind of move him around and play with that a little bit.
Let me tell you what Matthew Stafford's going to do. Matthew Stafford's going to do his best Oprah impression, because he's going to be better going, you get a slant, you get a slant, you get a slant, you get a slant. That's all they're going to do all day. They're going to slant you to death.
And that's exactly what they should do.
Uh-huh.
That's exactly what they should do.
Yeah.
If I'm on another defense, that's exactly, offense, that's what I'm doing to that defense.
You're going to get slants and crossing routes all day long.
Until they show that they can defend those consistently, you should do that to them. You obviously should. And we've got some inactives that are going to make that a little bit easier for them. So it is what it is. But hey, you got to play the game. So not an injury, but wanted to kind of throw this in at the end of this. So I'll skip that for a second. So quick question here. There's I'm going to give you a list of people.
Okay.
And all I want you to do is, you just, as I say the person, do you think they're going to miss any additional time due to being questionable in their injury reports? Guys that were injured last week, they may be better this week, they may not. But, do you think they're going to miss any extra time? Some of them are on bye, so they get an extra week. But just a yes or no if you think they are. And if you have anything you want to throw in there, feel free to do so. So the first guy, Deshaun Watson, you think he'll miss any extra time? He's on bye this week too.
Yeah, I don't think he will. I think he'll be back.
Agreed. Justin Herbert.
What's going on with him? I'm not familiar with his injury.
Something with with the finger on his non-throwing hand.
He'll be fine. He'll play.
Austin Eckler in that ankle injury.
At this point, I don't think they would even talk about him coming back unless it was a real possibility. So I'm going to say he'll play.
Yep, and all 3 of those guys are on bye this week, so they have an extra week. So we're basically saying we think they'll be back by next Sunday.
Yeah.
Von Miller, reports are that he's working out and he's attempting to get himself back. Do you think he'll miss any additional time? Do you think he'll play?
I think he'll play, but he'll be limited.
Okay. I think he'll miss another week, but I think it's good for them to know that he's, at least working with the team and kind of getting there. I think it'll be conditioning will be the big concern, but he may play a little bit.
And that's why I think he might play, but it will just be on a extremely limited snap count.
Okay. And then Zay Jones for the Jags. You think he'll be back this week? Or you think he'll need more time?
I'm thinking he may need a little bit more time, but he may make it back. But I think he's going to probably miss like another week.
Yeah, I think he's going to miss some more time too. John Metchie for those surprising Houston Texans. If Coach Dante is watching, this one's for you.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy who I think we expected a little bit more out of, and they haven't necessarily needed him yet, so there's not really a reason to rush him back. So unless he's 100%, I think they'll set him out another week.
Yeah, because he's suffering from illness, of course, and that's why he hasn't played. So yeah, it makes sense that if you have the ability to, you want to give him another week before he gets back 100%. Yeah. All right, and then Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
Yeah, I think so too. So this one's a little interesting. And if you want to have any other thoughts, feel free to share them on this one. Johnathan Taylor in that ankle. Do you think he's going to play, or do you think he's going to miss more time?
No, he's going to play because he understands at this point that the Colts want first round best running back in the league compensation for him, but they don't want to pay him that. And they know that no one else is going to give that up and pay him. So his only real option is to show up, go out there and play, and then try to get paid in the offseason. So he's going to show up. He has no choice.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I agree with that actually too. Saquon Barkley, is he going to play this week?
I think he will play this week. I mean, it really depends, right? If he's not 100%, I don't think they'll put him out there because let's be honest, even with the healthy Saquon, they probably don't have much of a chance this week. But I think he's going to try to give it a go. But I think he is listed as a game time decision this week. So,
yeah, I think he's going to definitely try to give it a go as well. Derek Carr.
Much like what we're seeing with Joe Burrow right now, I think he's going to try to go out there and play. I mean, he played last week, so I don't see him not trying to go out there this week.
Agreed. Trey Flowers.
Not sure what's going on with him.
The only thing that they said was that he was injured. I tried to do some research into it. I didn't see what the specifics were, but he is definitely listed as questionable. I think he is going to be a Sunday decision, maybe not game time, but I think it's going to be a late in the week decision. I think he's going to play because I'm not seeing anything really out there saying that he's at a point where he may need more time off.
Yeah.
But so I think he's going to play.
I think that's probably a fair assumption. There's not really much out there.
Yep. And then OBJ and his often injured self.
Yeah, I think he's going to try to play this week.
Yeah. And then we got Pat Freirmuth for the Steelers. He's been out injured. I forget what the injury was, but he's been out injured. So do you think he's going to make his return this week?
Actually, I saw he is officially been ruled out this week.
So he has been ruled out. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then T. Higgins and Joe Burrow, both trying to play, both injured. Do you think they're going to play this week, or they're going to finally make them sit down?
T. Higgins, I think, will play.
Okay.
Joe Burrow probably will play, but probably shouldn't.
I mean, I gotta agree with those two. Like you keep saying the same things, like that I'm thinking. So I agree with that too. All right, so Javonte Williams, think he'll play. He got hurt this past week for the Broncos.
What's the status on his injury?
The last update was that he did practice, but limited today.
Yeah,
it's the last update I saw with him.
Yeah, I mean the thing is they do.
I think his was a hip, if I remember.
Yeah.
I think his was a hip.
The thing is, if you base like I look at Thursday as kind of like a big like tell, right? If guys return to practice, even if it's limited on Thursday, they're usually going to play.
Yeah, that's for the most part, yeah. And then I think he's gonna play. I'm going to say that, but Micah Parsons is listed as only injured with the knee issue. But I think he's going to play, because I don't think it's something that's kept him out of practice. It's just kind of been sore and had him on the injury report.
Micah Parsons would play in a body cast in this game, bro. There's no way Micah Parsons is not going to be on that field. I wish Micah Parsons would sit out this week, but it's not going to happen.
All right, and then we got two other Packers here. Aaron Jones and Christian Watson. Do you think either one of them will play this week, or do you think they'll miss time?
So I know Aaron Jones has been limited in practice. So I think he'll practice because they're actually letting him practice. What about Christian Watson? Has he been practicing? Do you know?
I actually had that. I was looking at him earlier. I think he's been limited, kind of like on on the side working out, not really involved in the actual practices. Just playing out. It's kind of,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to see. I'm not really seeing too much on him. Yeah, you know
yeah,
what?
it's not really a lot
I'm gonna say he's gonna play.
on him.
Yeah, I'm gonna say he's gonna play. Okay, he was limited in Thursday practice, so yeah, he'll play. He'll be fine.
Yeah. Let me see. A certain new note for him. Yeah, he should be playing. He was limited, like you said, and we'll see Saturday what happens with him. But he should play because this was his first week playing. So got out there a little bit, got hit a little bit. So we'll see if he's still able to get out there or not. But even though he's a little limited, he did, show up last week. So I think he will play as well. And then lastly, Mr. I hurt my shoulder. I told y'all this was coming. Davonte Adams. Do you think he's going to play?
No, he is definitely not playing. And look, and let me be very clear about why Davonte Adams is not going to play. It's his shoulder.
He's got giant pain in his shoulder. Listen, man, there is no way if I'm Davonte Adams, I'm stepping on that field with that team, bro. Let Josh Jacobs do his thing. I ain't mad at you. Do you, bro? Let Hunter Renfrow get a couple of catches, whatever. But you got Jimmy Shot, Johnathan, who, and I don't know why, playing quarterback because Garoppolo can't get out of the concussion protocol. So, I mean, you don't even have Jimmy Garoppolo back there. You looking at him like, is he even the answer, at least for a season? And you don't even have him. So, yeah, if I'm Davonte Adams, I will be injured as long as I can be.
Pretty much.
And, I mean, that's just completely 1,100% honest what it is.
Yeah.
All right, man. So we're going to switch over here. Big week in college football last week. So any reactions from you from any of the games last week?
I mean, a couple of things, right? I think one, game that obviously stood out for me was the LSU Ole Miss game, real high scoring game. But LSU was a team that I thought might be able to challenge Georgia this year, might finally be that team that can knock them off, and then they go out there and lose to Ole Miss. So it's one of those things where now we're kind of having to ask, like, what is this team going to be under Brian Kelly? Because it seems like every year there's a couple of games that they end up losing. They look good a lot for the most of the season, but then they have sometimes they just don't look good, right? So you have to kind of start to wonder, like, at what point does Brian Kelly get put on the hot seat in LSU? So obviously that was intriguing from that standpoint. The other big game to me was the Colorado USC game, because USC came out and looked like they were about to beat the brakes off Colorado. Like, they looked like they was about to do them like Oregon did. And you got to give a lot of credit to Colorado, because Deion basically was like, look, man, if the guys that are on the field right now don't want to play, cool. I will put you on the sideline and throw some other guys in there. And told those guys, look, you can go out there and you can either prove to me you want to be here, or I'll find somebody new next year. And those guys, a couple of them went out there and they started making plays. And, that's going to be really big for this team going forward in terms of building some momentum, because their next, I think, 3 games are very winnable games, right? I mean, they're going to get into some tougher Pac-12 matchups a little later in the season, but the next 3 weeks line up pretty nice for them to be able to go like on a nice little run and build some momentum. So I thought that was a huge win for them. And the other thing that came out of that game, and I haven't heard a lot of people talk about this, right? Everyone is so focused on, Caleb Williams is the Heisman front runner, and he threw 6 touchdowns and da-da-da-da-da. They did something in the second half of that game that made him look very uncomfortable. And I've noticed a trend in the couple games I've gotten to watch him where he does not throw his receivers open. He waits until they are open to throw. And those Colorado defenders were taking advantage of that. So I'm going to be curious to see. I'm going to be curious to see if some other teams also take advantage of that. Because a team like Oregon, you don't think Oregon can take advantage of that? Yeah. So watch out, because Colorado may have just showed you, even though he put up 6 touchdowns and it didn't hurt him in terms of the standings, they may have just given you the blueprint on what you do to take Caleb Williams' Heisman campaign and put it off track.
So you mean to tell me that Caleb Williams is out here looking like Joey, like not excuse me, he's out here looking like that gentleman that is Baker Mayfield in Tampa Bay, where he doesn't throw the guys open, because that is a very interesting thing to notice, because that is true. I saw that in the second half too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they figured it out and they made that change. And a couple of games for me, Oregon, they're still whooping butt. They did Stanford the same way they did Colorado. So this is a team that's for real. Like, it wasn't, they played Colorado, so they just beat them up. They did the same thing.
Yeah.
Notre Dame. Yeah, Oregon is legit. Notre Dame had a big win over Duke. And I, for one, thought that game was going to be a little bit more Notre Dame's way than it was. The Duke quarterback ended up getting injured. I think he's going to be fine. It looked scary at the time, though. But it was a good game.
Mm-hmm.
It was back and forth. It wasn't a lot of scoring, but it was a lot of back and forth. Like, oh, this team's got touchdown. This other team gonna be able to score. It was a lot better of a game than 21-14 would tell you.
Yeah.
And then of course the shellacking that Mississippi gave LSU. You already kind of spoke on that a little bit, but that was tough. I also loved to see what Kentucky did.
I called that one.
You did. Kentucky did the whoop that trick on Florida. No Gator Chomps this week. And just want to keep throwing this conspiracy theory out there. There's an ATN in Florida who's probably not going to like what's happening there. And then there's a coach over in Colorado who could use a guy who's definitely Sunday talent on his team to help that running game. Just saying. Especially since his brother said you might need to go pay for Coach Prom. I got to throw it in there every week, and every chance I get, I will definitely do so. There's no question about it. The other game that I liked was Tennessee bouncing back, giving South Carolina that work.
Yeah.
You know, because Tennessee's a team that we talked about up and down. We talked about before the season started. We feel like they're going to be good, maybe not as good as people thought. Then they lose, and people are like, yeah, you know, they're not as good. And they come back and say, oh, we lost. The season's not over yet. We still in here. We're going to keep that number by our name and go in a few more weeks. So I liked, you know, the fact that they had the resiliency to bounce back and say, we're not going to let this define our season. We caught an L. We're going to keep it moving, and we're going to make it happen. So that's some of the things that I saw that I liked myself. All right, so we shall now talk about a couple of top 25 games to watch this coming week. These are all top 25 matchups. So we got number 1 Georgia versus that previously talked about Kentucky team. Who you got winning this game?
Georgia has struggled this year. And if it were not for Brock Bowers, they probably lose to Auburn. I think Kentucky's going to come out. They're going to try to run the ball down their throats. Mm-hmm. Dude had 280 yards against Florida. Now, he's not going to put up 280 against Georgia, but Auburn basically had no passing game, and they still were in the game with Georgia. So I think Kentucky actually pulls the upset this week.
I'm
gonna
go with Georgia.
I'm calling it.
All right, then we have number 3 Texas versus number 12 Oklahoma. Who you got?
Yeah, this is gonna be an interesting one. You and I both were pretty hard on Oklahoma beginning of the year. Called them very overrated, and you know what? I don't take it back, because based on what we saw last year, I think they deserve the criticism. But they have shown me something this year. But they're not going to show me enough this week. I'm taking Texas. I think they're the more balanced team.
Yeah, they showed me something. They showed me that they could beat lesser talented teams consistently, which is still an upgrade. But they're about to show me something this week too. You know what they're about to show me? They ain't ready for Texas.
Yeah,
I definitely have Texas winning this as well.
yeah, but it's
All right.
but it's gonna be a great game though.
Yeah, this should be another one of those low scoring but very exciting games. You get a lot of those in college football when you have teams that are, for the most part, on the same level. There may just be that one or two players that's better on certain positions that make the difference. But I think this will be one of those games. It'll be a good game. I think Texas will take care of business.
So this is the Pac-12. It's gonna be our Big 12. It's gonna be a shootout.
At some point, they got to play some defense, man. This could be a week they start playing a little bit of defense, man.
No.
And they both got to get ready because they both won the SEC next year. They got to get ready. Got to start playing some defense.
Look, playing defense in that conference is like we gonna let you score 21.
But they bouncing out, so they got to start. You know what I'm saying? Get used to defense. You got to play some defense in the SEC. You're gonna be the whooping boys.
Not based on what I've seen this year. You don't.
That, sir, ladies and gentlemen, that's what you call serving up a softball pitch to your Colts to see if they knock it out of the park and they don't disappoint you.
That's what I do what I can.
All right, and then we have number 10 Notre Dame versus number 25 Louisville.
Yeah, Louisville's been a nice little story. Gets in their top 25. Fairy tale ends this week.
You know what, man? I'm gonna go Louisville. Notre Dame has skated by, either winning or losing, but they've played a lot of games a lot closer than they should be, and they've looked baffled at times when they should really pull away. I think that floaty bubble of just kind of finding ways and, being in close games and not really putting your foot on people's throat, I think Louisville's going to show them a little something. Now, I don't think Louisville's going to go on to be a great team, but I think for a week, Louisville's going to get this done because Notre Dame's coming in here like they rank, but whatever. So I'm going to go Louisville with upset.
Okay.
She'll probably, which means Louisville's going to lose the game, just so everybody's aware. 21 Missouri versus 23 LSU. I'll simply be real quick. Missouri.
Yeah, I think Missouri is getting a little something going offensively here, but I got LSU bouncing back in this one. I'm going to go LSU.
All right, so we did both end up having a top 25 upset of the week kind of mixed in with our regular picks. But outside of the regular pick, the ones that, the games that we picked, do you see any other game where there's a ranked team who could lose to an unranked team this week?
Yeah. Yes, I do. I have not ruled out the possibility of Texas A&M pulling the upset. 2 years in a row, beating Alabama. The game is in Texas. They're getting Alabama at home. Alabama has not looked great this year. Texas A&M's defense is playing well. They're getting good play out of their quarterback. Ever since the Miami game, they seem to be finding something. Will they be able to keep it going this week? I don't know, but I think it could happen.
That was mine too. Actually.
I mean, it's kind of the obvious one, really, right?
That was mine too. But if I was looking at another one, I'm still wary of UNC. Syracuse is going to be a good challenge. They're not a dominant team, but the ups and downs, the ebbs and flow of the season. You know how sometimes you take a team that's not as good, but they're still within the same stratosphere as you. Like, obviously Drake May is better than anything Syracuse has a quarterback. Not trying to make that connection, but I'm saying a lot of the other positions, Syracuse has solid talent. UNC has a little bit better, but I think this could be a lull game for UNC, right? So when you start to be a better team than you've been consistently in the past, you got to get over the ebbs and flows. You got to get over the ups and downs. So they've had the ups, they've had some good wins. So now maybe that down comes, and maybe that down is against Syracuse at 3:30 p.m. tomorrow.
Well, there is actually one thing that you didn't mention, and I'm surprised you didn't mention it. There's one really good reason why North Carolina could have potentially have a slip up this week. They might be looking ahead.
They might.
And I think you know what they're looking ahead to. It would be your Miami Hurricanes.
I do. And also, UNC finally won. I believe I saw to get the guy that had transferred in from Miami that couldn't play. I think they finally won an appeal hearing, and he's going to be allowed to play.
Yeah. Real quickly on that. So the NCAA basically got threatened with litigation, and they folded. And now you have Florida State basically trying to do the same thing with the guy that we had transferred from you, Daryl Jackson, because it's the same exact situation. So again, this just goes back to what we said before. There was no reason at all why you tell guys who transferred before the rule went into effect that they had to sit out this year. There was no reason to. You should have went ahead and just let them transfer and then said anybody after this date, these are the rules you're subject to. You try to retrofit people to a rule that wasn't even in place when they transferred.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if they knew it was coming or not. It wasn't in place.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think that's a win for your guy as well. Like I said, because like you said, if you're gonna do it for one person, you can't then turn around and not do it for the other people in a similar situation. So I agree. I think you're gonna see the same thing happen. But what I'm excited about it is let the kids play, right? I get they transfer. You know, my thing is, yeah, you transfer. Come on, man. Don't keep transferring. But let the kids play. I mean, they get paid to play now. Let them go on out there and play, man. Just let them have a good time. It is what it is. Come on, man. Let's not make this thing too difficult. Let's not overthink it. Let's not reinvent the wheel. You got these rules in place. Just treat it like Kobe year. Let these kids play. Let's get it. That's why I don't work for the NCAA. That's exactly why they will never hire me. Stuff like that.
That's exactly why.
All right, guys. So we're gonna do a quick overview, refresh for the NBA season. We're gonna just kind of split this up over the next 3 weeks. So this week we're just gonna take the teams that didn't make the playoffs. We're gonna talk about where they finished, and basically if we think they're gonna be a little bit higher, a little bit lower in the same area that they were in last year. All right, so we will start over on the Western Conference with this. So the teams that did not make the playoffs from bottom to top, so from 15 to 11, San Antonio Spurs were last at 15. Do you think that they're going to stay there, or are they going to challenge for one of those top 10 spots? Because now, we got to play in games. That's every year thing.
I mean, I don't think they'll be 15th, right? At least they can't get any worse no matter what. But I mean, they could lose more games, but in terms of positioning, but I don't think they make the play in, right? I don't think they're in that top 10. I don't think they'll jump that far, but I think they'll move up a little bit. They won't stay at 15.
So yeah, they will move up, but I think I have them probably 11, 12. So I think I have them right there at possibly, getting in there, but at least, like you said, improvement from last year.
Yeah.
All right, then we go to the team that was above them, and that's the Houston Rockets, who finished 14th last year.
Yeah, this is another team that I don't really see them getting into the play-in conversation, but I could see them improving this year. Now, depending on how some other people do, you may not see a lot of movement in terms of position, like maybe they only go to 13 or something like that. But I think they'll win more games. I think they went out and got some pieces. I really like the Fred VanVleet addition to that team. So I think that they will get better. They'll win more games. And then it just kind of comes down to, in terms of the seeding, how some other people around them play. So I don't think they're going to be contending for one of those 10 spots, but I think they will be an improved team.
So I think the addition of Dylan Brooks, Jeff Green, and Van Vliet, and let's not forget, Udoka. This team is going to be the 10th. I don't think they'll be above 10th, but I think this team is going to make the playoffs next year. The play-in, excuse me, not the playoffs, but the play-in. Just two different things. Yeah. I think they're going to make the play-in because Udoka is going to use those young men and the veterans properly. It's going to be a good mix. I think they're going to make it in. I think they get obliterated when they get there, but I think they make it, which is step one of kind of rebuilding this team.
Yeah.
All right. And then
I'll just say this. There's another team that I'm kind of putting in this position that we'll talk about here in a minute. I'm just going to say I won't be surprised if they make the 10, but it's going to require one of my 3 other teams to not make it.
Fair enough. So Portland Trailblazers. Where do you see Portland this year?
Not going up. I think this is going to be just kind of an acclimation year. I think this is going to be a year for them just to kind of see what they have, get some guys out on the court, and get some things figured out, right? Low pressure, no expectations, all that good stuff. That's what I see out of Portland this year.
Yeah, I think Portland might be the one down at 15 this year, to be honest with you. Because I think you turn it over to Scoot and you're going to let him be the guy right away because you couldn't keep Dame Lillard there to help facilitate this change. Mm-hmm. So I think you're going to see some regression. You know, you brought in some pieces, right? But without that lead guard that has that tenure, that ability to kind of understand the pros, I think you'll see them fall down. But I think it'll be a lot of games that it's a learning experience for him and Simons to kind of get themselves where they want to be. And then you've got other players that are going to help them stay in the game. It's just going to be a matter of not quite getting over that hump year one. Yeah, but I think this will be a team next year. We'll be talking about ascending and being in contention for these top 10 spots.
Yeah.
All right. And then at 12, we have the Utah Jazz.
They haven't really done anything to me to necessarily get any better. And with other teams around them doing things to get better, I'm going to say they're just going to kind of stay around where they are.
Yeah, I think the Utah Jazz are a cute story. They have some pieces that play decently. They were, looking good early in the season, but then they just started to fall. Don't see a lot of improvements to this team that's going to make this team so much better. So I have them stagnant at like 12, maybe one spot down to 13. But I have them kind of sitting where they're sitting. And then the last team to not make the playoffs, a team that was in the playoffs much earlier in the season, and after they made their vaunted move, they fell down the rankings and out of the play-in, the Dallas Mavericks. Where do you have the Dallas Mavericks finishing in that top 10 or stand kind of where they're at?
Now, this is one of the teams that I have going into the top 10. I think they managed to sneak in there this year. I think having an entire offseason and maybe figure out what adjustments they need to make to try to figure out how you're going to have Luka and Kyrie both on the floor together will be beneficial to them. So I do think they're going to make the top 10. I do not think that they will be one of the top 6. I think they're definitely going to be more in the top 10. And when I say that, I mean like 9, 10.
So I think you gotta put them in the top 10, but I agree they're only a little bit better next year. They're still borderline out.
Yeah.
Because you have two guys who both need the ball to be dominant. Right? Mm-hmm. Is that a wise decision? The answer to that question for me is Bishop Bullwinkle style. No. No. It's not. So I think they hover around where they're at, maybe up a spot or two, like you said, but they're not going to really be a serious contender until they can get the right other pieces, and they don't have them now. All right, so we'll move over here to the Eastern Conference. So last place last year, somehow they were worse than the Charlotte Hornets, which is ridiculous, is the Detroit Pistons. What do you have for them?
I mean, it's possible that them and Charlotte could just change positions. That's about it. That's all I have to say on that.
So I will go the same way. 1,000% agree. The Charlotte Hornets had a chance to go get Scoot Henderson, pair him with LaMelo Ball, and have a dominant, cheap front court for the next couple of years, and then make the right moves down the road, be a little bit better every year. They went out and got a guy that's all potential. They didn't show a lot in Brandon Miller in college, right?
Mm-hmm.
Played one season, probably isn't ready to play serious minutes in the NBA right away. So another project. You keep getting these project guys like Marshawn Beauchamp and other guys, and they don't pan out, but then you keep going back to it, and you wonder why you are a trash franchise. That is why. So I have them where they should be every year at 15.
Mm-hmm.
And in Orlando at 13, would you? They were 13 last year. Where do you have Orlando finishing this year?
So, and looking at some of the teams above them with some of the expectations I have, I don't know that Orlando has done enough to jump any of those teams. So I'm going to say they're going to probably sit where they are. I mean, maybe they move up like a spot, but for the most part, I kind of expect them to stay about where they are.
Yes, Orlando was one game from that line last year, right? They were 34 and 48.
Mm-hmm.
The two teams above them were 35 and 47. And then the last team in the playoffs, the Bulls, were 40 and 42.
Yeah.
So I think that Orlando is going to take a move this year. I think they're going to hit that 10-11 mark. Okay. I see Paolo Banchero making a big difference after getting a year of seasoning with that team and just a couple more wins, right? We look at 6-7 more wins. And Orlando gave away a lot of games last year. Like I don't know what they were doing. So I think they can compete for a spot in the top 10, but that's about where my limit is for them.
Yeah, I just like when I look at it, those next two teams, the Wizards, I feel like are a team who did enough to stay better than the Magic. The Pacers are the team that they maybe could end up pushing back out, right? That would be kind of their opportunity to move up a little bit.
Yeah, and also there's some teams in that top 10 that we're gonna get to next week.
Yeah,
that's 6 through 10 that are gonna fall.
Yeah, and we could talk about that, but we'll talk about that next week. So
yeah, but they're gonna fall. So I have Washington in the 10. I definitely have Washington in the 10. Like it may be 8, maybe 9, maybe 10, but I have them with that duo that they now have, Kyle Kuzma and Jordan Love. I mean, not Jordan Love. Boy, I'm thinking football. Oh man. But anyway, the guy that I can't remember his name misses me at this point, but the guy that got ran out of Golden State. So those two, I think that's a good young duo to build around. Yeah. So I think that's a good duo to build around. And I think that team will be in that top 10. So it sounds like you feel like Indiana's going to stay stagnant or drop, which I completely agree with. I think you made some moves that you thought were going to make you better that you're going to see they're not quite what you thought they were.
I mean, I can't believe that we're underestimating the Indiana Pacers after that Bruce Brown signing, man. That's just, like, how dare we?
Hey, man, when you do that, that's what I say. You're not trying to win. You're not seriously winning around here. And if you're not serious, why should we be serious? So I have to say, we're going to do our picks real quick, but I have to say, I apologize to the Chicago Bears fan base. I gave you no chance, and I was wrong. Strange. All right, so we'll start with the 9:30 a.m.
Nobody under 35 knows what you're talking about right now.
That's great. That's great. Look it up. Figure it out. So we'll start with the 9:30 a.m. game. We've got the Jacksonville Jaguars as a away team at their home away from home overseas against the Buffalo Bills. What you
got? I think Buffalo is a better team, but I said it earlier, and I'm going to stick with it. I think that Jacksonville getting to spend the 2 weeks over there is going to be an advantage for them in this game. I'm going to go Jacksonville.
So I was told by a Buffalo Bills person that I trust a lot that they were flying over Tuesday or Wednesday. So I think Buffalo's a better team. I think they have enough time to get acclimated. I'm going to go Buffalo, but again, that just means that it's a good chance Jacksonville's going to win. All right, so then we have the first 1 o'clock game, the aforementioned Houston Texans at the quarterbackless Atlanta Falcons. Who you got?
Houston is looking really good right now, man. So I'm going to have to go Houston.
Well, I'm going to say Atlanta's looking really bad right now, so I'm going to go Houston. But I feel you.
So same pick, different reason?
Yep. All right, and then we got and plus, I'm a big CJ Stroud fan. Panthers at 0-4 are going to Detroit to play the 3-1 Lions. I'm pretty confident saying we're both picking Detroit in that game.
Yes.
I don't speak for you a lot.
If I'm wrong on that one, no one will fault me.
No one at all. Just like nobody faults us for a Thursday. All right, and then we got the Titans at 2-2, headed to the Colts at 2-2. Who do you have winning this game?
I'm gonna go Titans.
I am as well. I just do not believe in the quarterback for the Colts year one.
I don't believe anybody in that division, but
Oh no. All right, then we have the 1-3 Giants against the 3-1 Dolphins. You got winning this game.
I just want to see if the Dolphins gonna put up more points than they did against the Broncos.
80 burger.
That's all I want to know.
80 burger. If they put up an 80 burger, man, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. Yeah. It's just a wrap on everything. They put up an 80 burger on them, bro. Oh man! After a loss, they just might do it too.
They're just gonna go hand Brian Dable that pink slip. Like, bro, don't even worry about it.
I wouldn't even hand Brian Dable the pink slip. I would hand players the pink slip. Like, who do you want to bring in? Because what you got is garbage, bro.
I would honestly let go of the coaching staff, the training staff, the players, the ball boys, everybody. Everybody got to go.
But see, I think they overachieved last year, and the organization had unrealistic expectations of them this year.
Yeah, and look, to be fair, our mutual Giants friend actually has been saying all off season that he did not think the Giants would make the playoffs this year. He didn't expect them to be this bad, right? But he didn't. He actually did say he didn't think they would make the playoffs because he thought they overachieved last year, and it set them up to have a schedule this year that was too hard.
Yeah. So we got the Saints at the Patriots.
I'm gonna go Saints because I don't trust Mac Jones at all.
Yep, whack and cheese. Not rocking with you. Definitely Saints. All right. So we got the Ravens 3-1 at the Steelers 2-2.
Steelers cannot get out of their own way on offense. I'm going to go Baltimore.
Pretty much. All right, we got the Bengals at the Cardinals, the battle of the one-win teams.
I'm going to have to go Cardinals on this one.
I'm going to take a flyer on Bengals. I still think the Bengals are the much better overall team. The Cardinals are playing well, but I think the Bengals are going to get them this week.
The Cardinals are playing hard. That's why I'm giving them the edge in this one.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, and then we have the 4-0 Eagles at the 2-2 Rams. I'm, of course, going to go.
Yeah, this is that game that I feel like, there's that sneaky pick of like, can the Rams win this game? But with them being a division rival, I don't want them to. And the Eagles are the better team, so I'm going to go Philadelphia.
Selfishly, you want Philadelphia. Fair enough. I'll take it. All right, so then we got the Jets at the Broncos.
Will there be any women over the age of 55 in the stands?
I think there will.
Then I'm going Jets.
Fair enough. I'll take Broncos just because I feel like this is the 50-50 game, just to be different. Really no other reason. We got the 3-1 Chiefs at the 1-3 Vikings. Safe to say that that's going to be a Chiefs game.
Unless Patrick Mahomes decides to sit out, yes, the Chiefs are winning this game. Even if he sits out, they might win this game.
I think they put Travis Kelce at quarterback and win that game. But and then we got
as long as they don't get Kirk Cousins, they'll be fine.
Or the black Kirk Cousins. All right, and then we have 820 aforementioned RDP and his Arlington football team visiting the San Francisco 49ers. I know who you have. I agree with you. It's just that simple. All right, for all the reasons you said, actually, we'll just apply them to me. And then we have Monday, the Ain't No Love in the City Packers, and the Davonte don't want to play Raiders. Who you got?
So let's see. So one team has a horrible coach. Their quarterback is, I think, still in the concussion protocol, and their best wide receiver is out. Yeah, I'm going to go Packers.
When you said one of the teams had a horrible coach, I was like, is he going to do something to differentiate that?
Well,
but you did. Good job. You
yeah,
did.
I mean, yeah, we have in Green Bay, we have a coach who is okay, right? He's not terrible. He's not great. In Vegas, we just have a horrible head coach.
I dig it. So yeah, man. Any last thoughts before we roll up out of here for the evening?
I mean, do you want to do the Thursday night game for next week also, sir?
That would be something we should do. Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank
I
you.
mean, it's a pretty obvious pick. I think we're all going to take the Chiefs over the Broncos.
Yeah, we're all going to take the Chiefs over the Broncos. It's so obvious that I forgot about it. But yeah, Chiefs versus the Broncos. We'll take the Chiefs. Thank you for reminding me.
Yes.
The Chiefs.
So, yeah.
Broncos will Bronco.
My closing thoughts, I'm going to make this very, very simple, okay? The 49ers play the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. I want to go on record right now saying we are the better team. We should win this game. We have beat the Dallas Cowboys the last 2 times we've seen them. But let me also be very clear in saying this. If we beat Dallas, all we have done is what we were supposed to do and beat a team that we are better than. We're not the kings of the NFC. We haven't won the number 1 seed. We haven't made the playoffs. We're not getting our 6th Lombardi trophy for beating Dallas. If we win this game, we will win the next week like nothing happened. And in the off chance that Dallas somehow wins, just know, Dallas fans, that until you do it in the playoffs, it still means nothing. That's my closing thoughts.
I feel it. I'm just gonna say, man, fly Eagles fly. You know, we got some big wrestling. We got a big wrestling pay-per-view this weekend. Make sure you check that out if you're into professional wrestling. For everybody else, man, watch a lot of football. Enjoy it. If you don't like sports, you shouldn't be here anyway. So
I did want one other thing I did want to add in real quick, sir. Something we did not do at the beginning of the show. Just wanted to say, rest in peace to Dick Butkus, legendary player in the league, passed away this past week. So,
yeah, definitely. That was actually going to be part of my thoughts, but all good. Appreciate you doing that.
You sound like you were wrapping up. I ain't want you to go into like the
I was,
and then come back with that. So,
yeah, but all good. But yeah, so with that being said, Eagles need to win. Enjoy the pro wrestling stuff. Enjoy your sports. All that good stuff that's there. And then moving on from that, you're just going to want to enjoy what is happening in the world of sports. Basketball's coming back. We still got football. Men's and women's college is going to be coming up soon. Just finished the WNBA season. So many things in sports. Enjoy them all. Love it. And appreciate it while you have it here, because there will be times where we wish we had this much going on in the world of sports.
Yes.
And as we end every week, just want to make sure to let you know, make sure you tell 2 of your friends and 4 of your enemies about the show. Just because they don't like you does not mean they won't like us. That being said, we out. We'll be back next week. Bring somebody with you.